guys? Today I figured I'd come at you and talk to you about my bike and why I bought it. Right after, I guess, I'm not gonna be taking these fast behind a Honda. Alright, well I'm on a 2004 Suzuki SV650S. And the only difference between the SV650 and the SV650S is the S, I guess, stands for sport. If you have the regular SV650, it's a naked bike. You don't have this front fairing here, windscreen or anything. Other than that, they're pretty much the same. Oh, the S also has clip-ons here, while the regular, if you want to call it the N, a lot of people do, has legit bars, and it's a lot higher. Also, I'm pretty sure the S has a little bit different gearing on the sprockets. I think it's just one tooth difference, so you get a touch more top speed opposed to acceleration. But that's pretty much it. They're both V-twins. The second generation, which goes from 02 till, well, in North America, I think they were discontinued in 2008. I'm not sure the exact year, but I can tell you they definitely were discontinued. And those ones are all fuel injected, pretty much the same thing, V-twin setup. They're nice. I know the first generation did have a sort of fuel injection. Instead of, I believe they still did have carburetors, but the fuel was pretty much squirted into the carburetors as opposed to a vacuum feeding it through. And that was a big deciding factor why I got this. I didn't have a big budget, and these bikes have always been cheap, and I knew that the 03 on up was fuel injected. My first bike was an 82 Yamaha, and that was carbureted. And when carburetors are working, I mean, they're just fine. You gotta wait for them to warm up when you start it up, but that's no big deal. But mine wasn't running that well, and I really didn't have that much money. I mean, I could throw some at it, but then if, you know, that didn't work, then I'd be kind of out that money and still have a poor running bike. So I just wanted to get on something newer, fuel injected, so I could just hop on and go. And that's exactly what this bike did for me. I paid, let's just say I paid right around $2,000. So it was a good deal. How many miles do I got on? I bought it earlier this season. What am I doing here? 34,000 miles. I think I picked it up with just under 32,000. And it's been a good bike. I mean, it's no sport bike. It is a 650. So, I mean, you do get some pep, but it's not an inline four, so it's not really that high of a revving bike. Redline's at 11,000. So, I mean, you still have a decent rev range to play with, but it's just, you know, nowhere as fast as those 600 crotch rockets. And the riding position is sort of like a crotch rocket. It is more upright, but it's a lot better than a lot of the 650s out there. So I'm pretty happy with it. If you're looking to pick one up yourself, really there's not that much that goes wrong with these, except for the upper part of the heads, the upper part of the engine, the heads. With them being a not a 650, with them being a V-twin, that means you've got two pistons situated like this. And if people are wheeling them, one piston's down here now because it's tilting like that. So the piston on the bottom's getting a lot more oil, and the piston on top is being starved for oil. So that creates a lot of problems, especially in the head with all the valves. So one thing you want to look for and listen for when trying to figure out if this bike's right for you, when you're going to test ride one or what have you, is just listen for those valves ticking. That's really the only way to tell without opening them up, but I mean, it's pretty obvious when they're ticking. Also, one thing is check the sight glass on the crankcase and see how much oil's in it. If it's too low, well, then you know that the owner's not really taking care of it. If it's too high and like purposely overfilled, that could mean that the owner's trying to hide that ticking noise, because overfilling the oil can temporarily hide the ticking noise. So yeah, that's my recommendation. Check and make sure the oil's right where it needs to be. It's pretty easy. Maybe I'll throw in a clip at the end of this video to you know, show you how to do that. But it's pretty much the same on any motorcycle. Once you do one, you've done them all. Alright guys, I hope it's not too windy for you, but the sight glass is on the right side of the bike. Got the bike level. It's on a stand. I'm doing the chain right now. Check the oil. You got this glass right here. You see the F full, L low. If your oil's somewhere in between there, you're good. You really can't see it that well. I can see it just fine, but there's the line right there. So oil's right where it needs to be. Now we can test the speed on this. Oh, they do book. I mean, again, not as fast as your 600, but got plenty of power to get in trouble with. Too much power to get in trouble with. To answer the question how these things handle, I'd say they handle very well. I don't have a lot of experience on different types of bikes. My first bike was a 82 Yamaha XJ650, or the Maxim 650, whatever they want to call it. So that was a cruiser. It had big wide bars out to here. It was comfortable. It did have a peppy inline 4, but again, it was 34 years old, so kind of worn out. My buddy's on a Ninja 650. He really likes that bike. It's a lot more upright than this, a lot comfier seat, just more of a cruiser. This bike, compared to many of the 650s out there, is a track-oriented motorcycle. Going down the highway, I'm sitting at about 7,000 RPMs in 6th gear, just because Suzuki wanted this motorcycle to have enough power to keep up with the 600s on a track. And on anything but the longest straightaways, this thing can definitely do. You know, it's not the GSXR front forks. However, I hear those forks will bolt right onto this. It doesn't come with a steering stabilizer, which is fine. You're not really gonna, I haven't experienced anything like that. It is very balanced. And that's one thing Suzuki wanted to get right. And in my opinion, they did. Being a 2004, you know, you might think that, well, my buddy's Ninja 650 is like a 14, I think. And through 3rd gear, we hold exactly even. And anything above 3rd gear, I actually start to pull on him. My bike will take off on his. And I thought that was just great. However, it's because of the gearing in his transmission, because to maintain more of a comfortable cruiser, you needed to just have those RPMs lower on the highway. And that's what Kawasaki did for that bike. Oh, what are we doing here? So on the highway, his bike's sitting maybe about 6,000 RPMs, which does make a big difference. Hell, that's 1,000 RPMs difference. Hey, Black Squirrel. So if you're looking for something that's gonna bop around town quickly, I highly recommend this. Even if you are doing highway commutes, I frequently commute about an hour when I'm going back home. And this bike can do it. With a more comfortable seat, I'd say it does it easily. The windscreen is really low. This is even an aftermarket one, and the wind still hit me about right here, about right where the camera's at. I'm a tall dude. I'm 6'2". I weigh something like 220 pounds, and I do fit on this all right. I guess I'm just used to fitting on small motorcycles though, because a lot of what I'm interested in is a small motorcycle. But I'd say it fit just fine on this. I know they do make, I don't know what they call them. I can't remember. I always forget the name. But it's what moves the pegs either down or backward for you. And I did look into that. Didn't really get very far because really my legs don't feel that cramped. I can manage. In terms of this being a first motorcycle for you, I would say yes. Yes, and only if you already have your endorsement. And that's simply because this bike really sucks at turning, and that's mostly what the endorsement is focused on. I know, well, when I took it, I had to do a figure 8. Here nowadays, you have to do a left-hand U-turn, which is easier. Well, not easier. Well, it's easier than a right-hand U-turn, because hopefully I'll be able to, I'll remember to put a clip in here that shows just how much this thing sucks at turning the forks. You really don't have a huge turning radius when, you know, you're actually turning the bars. At speed, of course, you're leaning and you don't have to turn the bars. But sitting still, trying to do those U-turns by cranking the bars, when I'm going right, my hand is like right here and I can't twist the throttle. As you can see, my wrist needs to move that way and it just simply can't do it. There's a parking lot up here. I'll pull in there and I'll demonstrate. As long as it's not full of gravel. Yeah, it looks like we're all right. Where am I? Oh, I didn't realize I went this far. Oh, I can't see. Alright, so I'll try to show you guys here, even though during this you're supposed to turn your head. I'm just going to pretty much stare at my bars. So I can just show you that when you're this far in a turn, I really have nothing left. And this is kind of painful and hard to do, especially when you're moving. Wow, I had to concentrate there. I haven't practiced my basic skills in a while. Oh God. But if you're done with the when you've got your endorsement, completed the test, I'd say, yeah, this is a first bike that you're really not going to grow out of. Like I said, this is my second bike, and I really have no reason to upgrade. I'm not running down the highway at 150 miles an hour. I mean, yeah, I'd really like some extra power for acceleration, but this thing's got just enough to make that front tire feel light. And if you've already got the clutch, you know, fully released in first gear, and you peg the throttle, the front end's coming up. So you really can't handle much more acceleration than that through first gear. Second gear, there's no chance on popping the front up without using the clutch. So yeah, that could handle more power. Third gear, even, you know, it's even more planted. So that's really where I'd use the extra power. But for a beginner, you know, you really don't want that much power because you can get in a lot of trouble real fast. Especially if you're not careful. Hell, it could be an accident that you're doing it. I mean, you give it too much throttle, you get up to 7,000 RPM, 7,000 RPM on a 600 power band, and now that bike's just got a whole new life, because that's what they do. They're tuned to run about 7,000 RPM. Well, they redline at about 16, but they make a ton of power at about 7,000. That's when the power really comes online. So you can get in a lot of trouble once you're reaching those RPMs. And on this bike, the power curve is incredibly smooth. I make the most power, I think 6,500 RPMs, but it's not a noticeable difference. Sure, maybe it's starting to accelerate a touch quicker, but it's barely noticeable. And I had to be told that that's what my power band was before I even went out and tested it, simply because I couldn't feel it. The trike waved. I always wave at trikes. Oh, stopping here is going to be fun. Maybe I should have gone. Maybe not. Jeez. They've got good brakes, that's for sure. In terms of reliability, I can only speak to the little bit over 2,000 miles I've had this. The only thing that's giving me troubles is the key is hard to turn sometimes. You gotta pull it down toward the tank and then twist it. I don't know why. Something's probably bent. I hear that maybe that's caused by leaving a big ass keychain on there and like having it blow in the wind. It kind of bends some shit inside your lock cylinder. I don't know. But kind of angling the key down towards, well, like the handle down towards the tank and then turning always works. Another issue I've had was with the clutch switch. On Suzuki's, you need to disengage the clutch, pull in the clutch, and then they let you start the bike. There's a switch up in here, and that thing is, I don't know, loose, going bad or something, and sometimes it doesn't recognize me pulling the clutch in. So what I have to do, I kind of have to bump the clutch. Oh, there's a lot of glass right there. Glad I went over here. Anyway, I have to kind of bump the clutch and like let it in and out just slightly, then it engages. Only one time that's ever been a problem for me, but the clutch switch is right under here, so I was able to reach down and just wiggle it, then the bike started right up. So it's never left me stranded, and I don't expect it to. It's been a trusty motorcycle. Let's see if we get a wave from the Harley. Hey, how you doing? There's a wave. Was he smoking a cigarette too? I guess that's just a common thing for him to do. It really looked like that. It was either a cigarette or a big sucker. Well, damn. I guess I need to get out more. No wave. To be fair, it is really hard to wave coming off a stop sign. You gotta have your hand on that clutch. So it always pisses me off when someone waves at me and I can't wave back because I'm clutching. It's like, ugh. Do I dump the clutch? Is that a 250 or 500? There's the wave. That was an exaggerated wave. He flung his hand out there. What's up, bro? I don't know who that is. I don't think I know who that is. Yeah, I don't know who that is. Oh, I love this town. That's the Dab Daddy, apparently. What the hell was that? So anyway, to wrap this video up, yeah, the SV is a good bike. I'd recommend it as a starter bike as long as you can get through that endorsement test. I mean, just to compare it, my buddy's Ninja 650, that thing completes the turning portion just fine. We've set up cones and parking lots to the official test standards, and me on this bike, I couldn't do it. Him on this bike, couldn't do it. Both of us had no problem doing it on his 650. So yeah, if the endorsement test is something that you can easily get out of the way, or maybe even on this bike, good luck. I'm just saying, it's got not much of a turning circle. But if that's not something that you're worried about, I would recommend it, as long as you don't mind the crouched over position. And it is pretty upright still, but you're leaning forward, there's no doubt about it. If that's something you don't like, I would recommend going with the SV650, the naked version, because that does have higher bars and it's a little bit better for a upright position. There are other bikes out there, the FZ07, the whole FZ series pretty much. The Ninja 650 is a very upright and comfortable bike. But if you want the sportier bike with a cheaper price and cheaper insurance, the SV650S is the way to go. I don't regret buying this motorcycle one bit. To answer the question, do I want more power? Yeah. Do I need more power? Absolutely not. This thing does everything I want it to. If you have any questions, be sure to let me know in the comments. Either I'll try to answer it, or I'm sure there's a ton of smart people on the internet that would love to answer it for you too. What the hell are they doing? Oh, they're doing the Beatles. What the hell? That's cool, I guess. Anyway, as I was saying, any questions, drop them in the comments. Either I'll try to answer them, or I'm sure there's a ton of smart people on the internet that would love to answer them for you. What are they doing now? Is it tracking? I don't know. Jeez. Keep getting sidetracked. Oh, anyway, that's about it for me today, guys. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.